The night shift always felt heavier than the day. Claire Bennett moved down the long corridor of the ICU with the weariness of someone who had forgotten how it felt to be well rested. The hospital lights buzzed softly, a near-constant hum that seemed to drill into the back of her skull. It was almost midnight. Most of the other nurses had taken a short break, but Claire was still working. She always did more than her share, not because she wanted to impress anyone, but because she needed the extra hours. Every bit counted when you were trying to pay off your brother's hospital bills, your mother's funeral, and still keep the lights on in your one-bedroom apartment. Her sneakers squeaked gently on the polished floor as she passed room after room. The hallway smelled faintly of antiseptic, rubber gloves, and something sadder, something like despair. Claire didn't flinch anymore. The sadness clung to every ward like a blanket, but you learned to breathe beneath it. Room 309 was always her last stop. She saved it for the end because it didn't require anything but vitals and silence. The man inside had no visitors, no name, no history, just John Doe. He had been admitted 7 weeks ago after a car accident, unconscious and alone. Tall, early 40s, strong build. His face bore the kind of quiet confidence that probably turned heads when he was awake. There were scars on his forehead now, and his left arm was in a cast, but somehow he still looked dignified. Claire entered quietly, not wanting to startle even though he couldn't wake. She checked his monitors. Stable. Breathing was assisted, but steady. No changes. His hands rested limp at his sides. "Evening, Michael," she whispered. She had given him the name weeks ago. Something about the silence in the room had started to feel too loud. She needed someone to talk to who wouldn't judge, a ghost who could listen. And so, Michael had become her confidant. "You missed. Quite a show tonight," she said as she pulled a stool to his bedside. "Mrs. Alvarez in 312 tried to throw pudding at me again. I think it was vanilla this time. I'm starting to think she does it for fun." She smiled to herself, then brushed a hand lightly over her forehead. Her shift was almost over, but she didn't want to go home. The apartment was cold and dim, and her little brother Noah had been coughing all day. She couldn't afford another doctor's visit, so she sang. It started with a hum, then a quiet verse. Stars shining bright above. You night breezes seemed to whisper, "I love you," birds singing in the sycamore tree. Her voice was soft, barely above the beeping of the monitors, but it was real, and it filled the sterile room with something close to warmth. "Dream a little dream of me." She paused and looked at him. He didn't move. He never did. But she imagined he could hear her. She kept singing. Every night, the songs varied, sometimes lullabies, sometimes jazz classics. Once she even sang a Taylor Swift song under her breath and immediately blushed afterward. But Michael didn't laugh. He just lay there, still and silent. Time passed. Like that, marked by her songs and his stillness. Then one night, her voice caught mid-song. She'd been singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, a song her father used to play on the guitar. Her hand rested on Michael's as she sang, and then his fingers twitched. Claire froze. Her heart slammed in her chest. Had she imagined it? She looked again, eyes wide. "Michael," she whispered, leaning closer. Nothing. Stillness. She shook, her head, trying to calm her racing pulse. It was probably a reflex, a spasm. She had seen them before, but something about it felt different. She stayed for another hour, eyes locked on his hands, but they didn't move again. The next night, she brought it up to Dr. Kovac, who nodded thoughtfully and made a note in the chart. "Could be neurological misfiring," he said. "Let me know if it happens again." Claire did more than that. She started holding his hand every night, just in case, and slowly more changes came. His eyes moved under closed lids. His breathing became less mechanical. Once she swore she saw his lips move just the tiniest bit. Weeks went by. Then, on a rainy Thursday night, as thunder rolled outside the hospital walls, it happened. Claire had just finished her round and sat beside him. She wasn't singing this time. She was just tired. She held his hand and whispered, "You know, if you ever wake up, I expect you to buy me dinner." "I mean it," she laughed to herself. Then he opened his eyes. Just like that, no warning, no fanfare. His blue-grey eyes blinked slowly, adjusting to the dim lights. He looked confused, disoriented. Claire dropped her chart. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. "Michael," she said, her voice barely a breath. His gaze drifted to her face. His throat worked as he tried to speak. "Where am I?" She jumped to her feet. "You're at St. Mary's Medical Center. You were in an accident. You've been in a coma, almost 2 months. He blinked again. "You were singing?" Claire's breath caught. "You heard that?" He nodded slowly. "Every night." Her hands flew to her mouth. Tears pooled in her eyes. "You remember?" He didn't answer. He just looked at her like she was a star in the dark. "What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated. Claire Bennett." He whispered it once, like he needed to remember it forever. Claire. He recovered slowly. Every day he became more alert, more talkative. His speech returned first, then coordination. Physical therapy began in the 3rd week after he woke. He was quiet but calm, and always asked for her. The hospital assigned other nurses to him, but he only relaxed when Claire was in the room. The others noticed. Some whispered that something was blooming between them. Claire denied it. She was just doing her job, but her heart betrayed her. She stayed after shifts to talk with him. She brought him paperbacks and crossword puzzles. He told her stories about the books he half remembered. She told him about Noah, her life, her dreams. One day, while the sunset painted the hospital window, orange and gold, he looked at her and asked softly, "Would you sing again?" Her face flushed. "You remember the songs?" "Everyone," he said. So she sang, and for a moment, everything else, the tubes, the scars, the beeping monitors, disappeared. 2 weeks later, a black car pulled up to the hospital. A tall man in a tailored suit stepped out, followed by a sharply dressed woman with a tablet. "I'm Henry Blackwell," the man said at the front desk. "I'm here for Mr. Carter." Claire overheard. Her blood ran cold. She hurried to room 309, but the room was empty. Fresh linens on the bed. "The machines were off," she asked a nurse. "He checked out 30 minutes ago," the woman said. "Private discharge, no details, VIP clearance." He hadn't said goodbye. That night, Claire cried harder than she had in years. Not just from disappointment, but from betrayal. She thought they had shared something real, something human, but he had left like she was nothing. 3 months went by. No calls, no letters, no answers. Claire buried herself in work. Noah got sicker, and she had to cut back her shifts to care for him. They got an eviction notice. Her car broke down, and still she worked. Lou's diner hired her part-time, nights and weekends. Then one rainy evening, the bell over the diner door rang, and a man walked in. She didn't look up. Not at first. Coffee, black, and a slice of cherry pie. She grabbed a menu, headed to the booth, and stopped cold. It was him. No hospital gown. No bruises, just a navy coat, neat hair, and eyes she couldn't forget. "Michael," she breathed. He smiled faintly. "Hello, Claire." She sat across from him, uninvited. "You just left," she said, almost accusing. "I thought I imagined. You." He didn't flinch. "I had to leave. There were things to handle." He handed her a card. She looked down. Jackson Wyatt Hale, CEO, Hale Enterprises. Her hand trembled. "You're Jackson Hale." He nodded. "That was my real name. I used my mother's when I was brought in. I didn't want anyone to know where I was. My board thought I was overseas. You're a billionaire. I was also unconscious, he said gently, and you sang to me every night. She tried to breathe, but her chest felt too tight. I came back because I needed to see you, he said, to say thank you, to tell you. He reached into his coat pocket, handed her an envelope. She opened it. A check. $250,000. She shook, her head, tears in her eyes. I can't take this. You can. And you will, he said. For Noah. For school. For the way you saved my life. She stared at him, speechless. I was slipping, Claire, he whispered. You pulled me. Back, she reached out slowly. He took her hand. Come with me, he said. I don't care about your uniform or your shoes or where you live. I care about you. Let me give you the world you deserve. She laughed through tears. I picked the music, she said. He grinned. Deal. And together, they walked into the night. No longer nurse and patient, just two people who found each other in the silence between songs.